Okay. Hello. Hi. Story time. I checked myself into an inpatient residential mental health rehab facility for my depression. And I want to talk about it because I think that in general, mental health is incredibly important. I've been talking about my struggles with mental health on the internet publicly, openly for several years now, and I've been struggling with my mental health for way more time than that. Since way before I started YouTube. I started YouTube when I was 18. The first time I remember feeling anxiety, I was 4. I think it really got worse when I was around 12. And my mental health, about 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago now, got to a point where I was no longer able to manage it on my own. And when I say on my own, I mean with my support system, with my psychiatrist, with my therapist here at home. It got to a point beyond that, and I didn't know before this all happened to me and I hit my absolute breaking point that things like this were even available. I think maybe I had an idea, like I've been throwing around the idea for the last few years now. It's been bad for a while, but I've been throwing around the idea for the past few years now of like, is there a place that I can go and send myself and have it be I'm staying there inpatient and all I think about is my mental health. All I focus on is helping myself, helping my mental health, learning coping mechanisms and strategies and all that type of stuff. Like I've been toying with this idea of doing this for a really long time and I just never did because I don't think it had gotten to that point yet. But a little over 2 weeks ago, I experienced, okay, if I cry during this, I was gonna apologize, but now I'm not gonna apologize because I caught myself. I'm not sorry. They're my feelings, they're valid. That's what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about my experience, how I got to this point. I want to tell you about the facility that I went to and just the experience of it, of being in an inpatient mental health facility. And I want to talk about where I'm at now. I don't have a plan for this. The only guidebook that I have is my physical book that they gave me when I did my intake. And it's this composition book. So I had this the entire time that I was at the facility. I journaled every single day. Sometimes I was journaling 6, 7 pages, 8 pages a day. I have excerpts in here from worksheets and things that I learned in my groups. I'll go over what the days looked like. I just want to make this video about my experience. And to be frank, I think this is the most important video that I've ever sat down to film. And the weight of that, I do feel it, but I feel like this is something I want to talk about. I want to destigmatize and I want to bring awareness to. Way more people are struggling than you know. Mental health, a lot of the time, is a struggle that you can't see externally from people. And I know from my own experience, for me personally, I'm about to look up stats really quick. For me personally, I have several masks that I put on in my personal life, in my professional life, just for different circumstances to mask how I'm really feeling inside. This is just a conversation that I feel called to have. I'm not doing this because I feel like I owe an explanation for where I've been. I do really love and appreciate you guys. I've missed this community. I want to get back to creating videos and just showing up. I want to do that, not for anyone else, but really for myself and for you as well. But every passion needs to come from me. And if the only validation that I'm getting and the only reason I'm continuing to go is external, then my efforts are going to be fruitless. Which is kind of how I felt recently. I've been putting a lot of my self-worth on external validation. And that's just one thing that's led to this. I won't even get into all that probably because we have enough material to get into. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I'm gonna try not to rush. I don't know how long this is gonna be, but if you're interested in listening, thank you so much for being here. If you're gonna comment or just anything, please do so with care and respect and keep an open mind. That's all I ask. I'm also not going to give disclaimers except for a trigger warning because a trigger warning is valid and that's a very important thing to put out there. So I'm going to put a trigger warning on the screen for content that I will be talking about in this video from my experience. If you are uncomfortable with this content or this is a trigger for you, that's why this warning is here. I love you and please take care of yourself. Please don't watch. Just know that I'm okay. I'm here. I'm safe. I did something positive for my mental health. And I will be back in some capacity soon. I'll get into more of what that's going to look like, but a trigger warning is the only thing I'm going to be disclaiming from here on out. I am so tired of disclaiming everything and feeling like I need to almost defend myself or picking myself apart ahead of time, thinking, how could people take this wrong? Or how could people use this against me? Or how could this be twisted? Or how could this be this and that? Like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do that anymore, and I'm not going to. That's it. Okay, these stats are coming from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI.org. More than 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year. More than 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience serious mental illness each year. More than 1 in 7 U.S. youth aged 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year. 50% of all lifetime mental illness begins by age 14 and 75% by age 24. And suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 24. Annual prevalence of mental illness among U.S. adults by condition: anxiety disorders 19.1%, major depressive disorder 15.5%, obsessive compulsive disorder 1.2%, and bipolar disorder 2.8%, bipolar 1.5%. I call out those specific ones because those are the ones that I struggle with. I've been open about my anxiety, my depression, and my OCD, but when I was at the facility, I got a new diagnosis as well, so I started a new medication. I'm honestly really grateful for that, because putting a label on it doesn't put me in a box. I'm not trying to put myself in a box. I just want to know what I'm facing so that I can properly heal and work through it. I want to start off with what led me to this point. So as I said, I'm not going to go too deep into this because this is a very sensitive topic. And also, when I started this video with story time, that's just how I talk. I'm going to talk to you guys like you guys are my friends, like I'm recapping my experience, even though I am talking about incredibly serious topics. The way that I deal with that a lot of the time, and the way that I face and approach hard shit, is by making a joke out of it. Please don't take that as me making a joke out of how serious this is, because I'm aware of how serious it is. I personally do deal with this, and that is why I'm here. At the end of the day, this was a positive experience at the facility and just everything that I learned, and I came out of it feeling a lot better. So I want my mood now and my energy now to reflect that, and not reflect the headspace that I was in that put me here. You know, to make a very long story short, I have been dealing with depression very heavily the last 2 to 3 years. I didn't even realize that I had depression still until I started with my therapist, who, she's on maternity leave right now, so that's why literally the week after she went on maternity leave, this happens. She's gonna be so shocked when I get back to her next year and be like, yo, guess what happened? But we did a depression screening for major depressive disorder. I have been diagnosed with that in the past. It kind of like shows up sometimes, and then other times it kind of feels like it goes away a little bit, but I don't know if it ever actually went away or if I just got used to it. And I'm thinking it's the latter, because I didn't even realize that I was still so depressed until I took that depression screening with my therapist, and almost all of my answers were like the highest they could have been, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm still depressed. It just hasn't gone away. All I've done is get better at either pushing it down, masking it, or just like handling it my day to day and continuing on with my life. Now, I have been withdrawing more and more from work. I think that's been noticeable. I'm just burnt out, okay? I'm burnt out, I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot of external factors, a lot of noise that has gotten in between me and my love for doing this job. At the end of the day, I want to come back to this job because it is a passion. I love being creative. We'll get into that in the post-treatment part, but there's just been a lot going on. I do have a really solid support system, so that's amazing. I have a loving family, I have loving friends, but all of those things, and the fact that I have those things honestly made me feel worse about being depressed, because I was like, okay, I have all these things. I have a career that's amazing. I work for myself. I am able to create my own schedule. I can choose what work I want to do. Those are privileges. Why am I depressed? What's wrong with me? I shouldn't feel this way, beating myself up about it. And it doesn't help that I've seen discourse like that from other people as well online, and it just has made me feel worse. And I think that's why I've been pushing down these feelings. When you do that, like, they're gonna bubble up and you're gonna explode. And that's what happened to me. What day is it right now? Thursday? Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, around right now. 3 weeks ago from yesterday when I'm filming this, I hit my breaking point. I was triggered that day by something very sensitive to me, something that was a trigger of mine growing up, something that I don't even know how to describe it, but I was triggered by something, and on the surface it wasn't that serious. But I think when I was so viscerally triggered by what happened, it wasn't even anything that I did, it wasn't anything anyone did to me, it was just something that I observed. It sent me down this spiral, and when I get into these depression spirals, they are quick and we get to a conclusion very, very quickly, and by we I mean myself, me, myself, and I, of I can't do this. This is never going to get better. Why can't I feel peace? Like, why does this have to be the conclusion? And I think about suicide more than like I should be. It shouldn't be a thought at all, I guess, but that's where my mind goes. And it happens very quickly from something that doesn't seem on the surface like it's that big of a deal. But the downward spiral, the thoughts, the just feeling so out of control, feeling so exhausted and overwhelmed and burnt out from managing these symptoms of depression and anxiety and OCD and just everything that's going on in my head. I'm like, can I please just get out of my head? If they offered lobotomies, I would get one. Like, that's literally how I felt 3 weeks ago. I was like, I need a brain transplant. I want to get out of my own body. I need the entire world to stop. The whole world needs to stop, or I can't do it. Like, I stop the train. I need to get off. That's how I felt 3 weeks ago. And I had 3 options. Die. Keep living the way I've been living. Like, I'm in this moment of complete panic. Like, I'm hysterically crying. I'm texting my friends. I'm freaking the fuck out. Like, I feel like I can't breathe. My whole face is swollen. And I'm like, the thought of waking up the next day, first of all, just waking up the next day was unfathomable to me. Second of all, the thought of waking up the next day and having to resume life as normal and pretend like this didn't happen and pretend like I'm fine, like I've always done, it wasn't possible. I couldn't do it. It just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually was not possible. I needed the world to stop. That's option 3. I'll spare you the rest of the details, but I came to the conclusion that I don't want to die. I don't. I have so much I want to do. I have a great life. Like, I have people in my life that I love. I have this tattoo. Like, I got this tattoo because I don't want to die. I want to live. I just want to live a good life. I want to be happy. I want to feel peace. Like, I need to heal. I need to be better. It's just, sometimes it feels like that's not possible. But I'm so proud of myself for having the strength in this moment of, like, despair, complete despair, to be able to stop myself, get a hold of myself and say, girl, you have a purpose here. You make a difference and you have to keep going. You just have to figure out how. And so I started looking up places I could go, like inpatient facilities for mental health, for depression. And I said this a little bit earlier, but I didn't even realize that this was a thing that was available outside of like high psych. When you think of like a psych ward or like a something like that, like a full-on hospital setting or like a 5150 situation, like I didn't know there was something that was like kind of a step down from that I could just go and live there for a couple weeks and have the rest of the world stop and be in intensive therapy every single day. But that's what I learned. I learned that places like that exist, and I found one. That's a whole other story. I found one that I thought I was sending myself off to, which is in Florida. Turns out when I called them and we did my intake and they found out the severity of how I was feeling and my insurance and all that shit, that wasn't the one I ended up going to. The company I called was like a 1-800 number. It was like a marketing, I called like a friggin' salesperson pretty much, and they placed me in the facility that I ended up going to. They did tell me that a bunch of stuff was going to be offered, different therapies, like EMDR therapies for trauma. It's something I'm interested in doing. I'm going to set that up here at home because they told me that they had it at that facility. They didn't, but I didn't know any of that until I got there. So originally when I called, this was the next morning at this point, I was able to just get myself to bed. I took one of my meds that I have for panic attacks, and it helps to calm me down. Obviously, like I was so sleepy, I was sobbing, so that obviously also makes me tired. So I went to sleep, woke up the next morning. I knew that I was gonna call, and that I had to stop everything. I had to cancel everything I had coming up because I needed to go away. Literally, I was supposed to go to Portugal with EF Ultimate Break 2 days from this, and I had to cancel last minute. I've never done that before. I've never had responsibilities, deadlines, like contracts I've entered into and then opted out. I've never done that. I was terrified to do that, but it was literally a life or death situation. I've never texted people I work with and be like, hey, please handle this for me. I need you to handle it. I need to go away. I need to take time. I need personal out of office. Please handle everything, because I always feel so bad. I feel guilty, even though what I'm doing is not rocket science. I work in marketing. Just, I'm a perfectionist. I hold myself to such a high standard. I don't want people to be mad at me. I'm a people pleaser. I feel like deep down, one of my negative core beliefs is I'm not worthy of a myriad of things, but one of those being rest or taking a break or putting up boundaries, like whatever it is, like I don't want to let other people down. But it was coming at my own expense. I was letting myself down so that I didn't let other people down, and I couldn't live like that anymore. So I fully just said, make everything stop. The next morning, after my complete and total mental breakdown, first of all, my cousin came to my apartment. She showed up with breakfast for me because my mom is 11 hours away, and I was frantically texting her in the middle of the night and she wasn't awake, and she woke up and saw my texts and freaked out, obviously. Called my cousin. My cousin came over and checked on me. I talked to her about everything. We cried, we laughed, we talked about my plan, and she was like, you have to call like in the next hour. I will show up. Like, I will come back. I will force you. You have to do this. Then I was supposed to meet my friends that morning to go on a walk and get some coffee. I couldn't do it. Like, my face was swollen from crying. Like, I just didn't feel up to it. And they brought the coffee to me. They got my favorite coffee and they came over and just like sat with me. And I can't even explain how much that means to me, that I have people in my life that would do that for me, or just that care like that. I knew that they did. This isn't like, I feel so guilty for struggling so bad when I have amazing people and also just like subjecting them to it. I feel like a burden. I don't want to bring down the vibes. Like, I want to be positive and like be somebody people enjoy being around. But you can't enjoy being around me if I'm not here. So I called that morning. I did my intake and everything. They told me where I was going to be going, which was in another state, literally in the Midwest. Like, it was the randomest like place in this state. I've only been to this state a couple times. I've never been to this specific place, and I was like, where is this? It's the middle of nowhere. I booked myself a plane ticket that day for the following day. I flew myself out. I got there. I had no idea what I was walking into. No idea. Like, I saw a couple pictures online. They gave me very minimal information on what I could bring, what I couldn't. I ended up getting there and I started doing my intake. The intake took a few hours. I didn't even know they were going to take my phone. I mean, I figured they would do that because this is an inpatient facility and like my phone is such a big problem, and I needed to be separated from it in order to focus on myself and like fully immerse myself in the experience and what I signed up for. But when the intake person, who ended up being such an advocate for me and I love them so much, told me that I wasn't going to be able to have my phone and they were going to take it and like store it somewhere else, like with other half of my other belongings that I brought, because I was given no information on what I was allowed to bring and what I wasn't. I started hysterically crying. It felt like I was losing a limb. That is how addicted I am to my phone, and I knew I was addicted to my phone. Like, that's half my problem, it feels like. In that moment when I had to like give up all of these things and give up control over so much, it was so overwhelming. I was already so overwhelmed. I was scared as shit. This was one of the hardest things I've ever done, one of the bravest things I've ever done, and I need to give myself credit for that, because sending yourself to an inpatient mental health facility, booking the flight, getting on the flight, traveling there by yourself, coordinating the pickup, like showing up, doing the intake, and doing it all by myself in a place that's unfamiliar, to somebody with anxiety, to anybody. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of new stuff. It's very overwhelming. But to somebody with anxiety, that was so fucking hard. But I did it, because even when I got there and I saw, like, I was terrified and I was like, should I just leave? Like, my first instinct was to run. I didn't run, because I put myself there on purpose, and I decided I was just gonna lean into it and go with it, even if it scared the shit out of me, even if my first night was terrifying, because I was in a new place. It was kind of like, how do I describe this? It was a facility. There were a few different floors, 3 floors with patients. A couple of them were substance abuse detox floors, and then my floor was the mental health floor. So there was around 25 people also there. Obviously, I won't be giving any information about any of the other people there because HIPAA, and just it's not my business. Like, that's their journey. But I got up there eventually. I had to put on scrubs because they had to heat treat all my stuff and go through my stuff and see what I could have and what I couldn't. Long story short, I've never been to rehab before, so I didn't know that anything that you bring in, toiletries, cosmetics, like stuff like that, whatever, shower stuff, that had already been opened, I couldn't have, which was 70% of my stuff. So I'm already overwhelmed. I'm already in a new place. I'm scared. I don't have anything that is like a comfort for me in real life, which, again, this may sound stupid, but I've never been to rehab. They didn't give me this information. I didn't know. I ended up being able to get my phone and order stuff from Amazon, so it ended up being a non-issue. But like at the beginning, when it was all so overwhelming, I was like, what the f is going on? Where am I? Very quickly after I got upstairs to my floor, I started meeting some of the other people on the floor, and I immediately knew that this was an environment where people stick together, people show up for each other, and I knew that I was going to form a community. Honestly, that's the last thing that I thought was going to happen when I checked myself into fucking rehab. for depression. I didn't think I was gonna leave with friends, but I left with friends. The most amazing part of this entire thing, this whole experience, other than my personal growth that I've felt, because trust me, I feel like a new person after just 2 weeks of intensive therapy. And hey, intensive therapy, it works. I just don't even have words for how positive I feel in the midst of all of this chaos, and how much I'm looking forward to the future and continuing to heal and grow. Yeah, so I got there, they gave me this. This was on my notebook. I made this when I was there because one of the people that was also on the floor knew how to do this little craft, and it was with this. I'll see if I can find a picture of it online or something. It's a cardboard circle, and there's little like slits that you put string, and then another one of the people there, one of the patients, ordered a box of so many different colors of string on Amazon, and this became like the floor craft. So I have a couple more. I have bracelets. I made this one right here, and then my roommate made me this one, who I absolutely loved. I had a roommate. That's a whole other thing. Like, I live alone. I do most things alone. I recharge alone. So going into there knowing I was gonna have a roommate, I was so scared, but my roommate was amazing and I love them so much, and it couldn't have been a better situation. It felt like fate. But this is how long, this is how long my bracelet is that I made. And then I just doubled it up, and I've been wearing it ever since. I made this in my first like day or so there, and it really helped me to do something with my hands, keep myself occupied. And then I ended up making this one, which was way longer, but I wanted it to be a bookmark. So it was a bookmark until my journal started getting really thick because I was putting in a bunch of papers and stuff. But yeah, now I'm gonna get into the journal. They gave me this on the first day along with the pen so that I could journal my experiences, or just in general be able to write things down. I brought my own journal, but it did take a couple days for that to get to me because they had to look through all my things. So in the meantime, I just decided to lean into this one. I put some magazine like collaging on it. We had certain groups throughout the week that were like creative based, so I used the glue and like the scissors that they were watching us use. We couldn't just have scissors or tape. That was at the nurse's station. But I customized it, and I honestly really leaned into the collaging thing when I was there because they had like a couple random magazines, and I was like, well, I don't have anything better to do. Let me show you some of my collages. They're really cute. I also have this folder that they gave me to put papers and stuff in. So I collaged my name on this. I made this one. I was really excited for Christmas when I was there. It was a magazine from the 90s. So I just made a cute little collage. It was so fun. Like, I feel like I put a lot of people onto the collaging thing when we were there. This is my therapy journal. I'm going to use this as my guide to tell you about my experience there. Just some highlights from each day. I was there for 13 full days. So let's get into it. Day one was a Saturday. On Saturdays, the way that the schedule works is the weekends are a lot chiller. We only have 2 groups a day on Saturday and Sunday, and then we had 4 groups a day Monday through Friday. Groups meaning like group therapy, and then throughout the week I would also meet with nurse practitioners. I got labs done. I had a personal one-on-one therapist that I met with twice a week when I was there. One of the groups, we watched a movie. I only got to watch half of it because I got pulled out because I had to go to the nurse practitioner, but it was called Mr. Holland's Opus. I have never even heard of this movie before. I think I got like a little over a third into it before I had to get pulled out to go to nurse practitioner, but it was so good. Everybody said that they all cried at the end of the movie, so I think it's on Amazon Prime. I want to watch it. Maybe I'll watch it after this. I wrote a list of stuff that I needed to order on Amazon. I had a nurse practitioner appointment. I talked to the nurse practitioner for about an hour and a half. I honestly really, really liked this nurse practitioner. They were amazing. I felt like they really were listening to me. They were attentive. They understood what I was saying. And I got a new diagnosis this day. My first full day there. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2. Does run in my family. Bipolar does. I don't know about bipolar 2 specifically, but I got that diagnosis and I got prescribed a new medication, and we started a whole plan for what I'm planning on doing with my medications. I've been on an SSRI for 5 or 6 years now. I think I've been on it for longer than that, but I've been on the max dose for at least 5 years. And I just don't really feel like it's been doing what it needs to do. We also did a gene psych test so that I could see which like psych meds worked the best with my body, which was really insightful. With the nurse practitioners here and my psychiatrist at home and the gene psych test, we've kind of formulated a plan going forward for what medications would be the most effective for me. So we have a good plan. I'm feeling confident about that. That's something that I've been worried about because I just hasn't really felt like anything's been doing what it needs to do. And then I had my safe call this day, which was phone call within the first 24 hours. I called my parents. They were visiting my brother in New York, which I was like, damn, have fun. I wrote about how I learned that they didn't have the therapies that they told me they had here. The whole like marketing of this place was kind of bullshit, and it was starting to freak me out. I was like, what have I got myself into? I eventually calmed myself down. I was talking to some other people there who had been there for longer than me, and I settled down. I was like, okay, I can relax. Like it's a new environment. It was scary. I also wrote about the fact that I got catcalled the night before when I first got in, when I was doing my intake. When I was getting on the elevator to go upstairs to my floor and I was in my scrubs and everything, there were two guys behind like a locked door on another floor who were fully catcalling me through the door. They were like, yo, come back here. There was a big ass like pole pillar thing that I like stood behind so that they couldn't see me. But that all happened within the first 2 to 3 hours of me getting there, so I was scared as fuck. People like that, I didn't know if there was any like consequences for that type of behavior, but there totally is. And people got kicked out for doing shit like that and making other people feel uncomfortable because it's zero tolerance. I just didn't really know that at the beginning and I was terrified. So I said, I feel like it's gonna be a really long and hard 4 weeks. When I first called and everything, I was planning on staying for 4 weeks because that's the total length of the program. But then once I found out that they didn't have the therapies that I wanted, I was like, why would I be here for 4 whole weeks? And also it is individualized and personal with you and your therapist if you self-admitted, which I did. I put myself there. We ended up deciding that I would stay for 2 weeks for stabilization and then go home, set up my continuing care and my different therapies at home and be able to reintegrate into life, have the stressors and triggers of life happening again, and still be in intensive therapy. Yeah, so I was going in here thinking it was gonna be 4 weeks. Very quickly, within the next like couple days from here, when I'm reading is like, I figured out it was probably gonna be 2. I just wanted to be stable, and I wanted to know that I was gonna be able to handle life again. Spoiler alert, I did feel that way, and if I didn't feel good, I wouldn't have left. But it was agreed upon between me, my therapist, my parents. Like, they didn't really have actually a say because I'm an adult and I could make my own decisions, but anyway, I wrote that I want to see it through in the case that it helps me even a little. I think it's the people that make the place. It so often is. That is a lesson in and of itself. Mental health and healthcare are so vital for people. Just hearing people's stories in the past 24 hours has solidified that for me. Human beings have such a large capacity for love, and we are so damn resilient. The stories and experiences of other people are so important to share and hear. So that was day 1. Moving on to day 2, Sunday. I got a great night's sleep. A new friend lent me a book, The Haunting of Hill House. So I started reading that. I also decided I was going to work on my cursive while I was here. So pretty much every note that I wrote past this in my journal was in cursive. They don't teach cursive anymore. It's a lost art. And it was a lot easier to write like several pages at a time, not lifting my hand up as much as I would with print. Nothing really happened. Sunday was very chill. I wrote a lot though. I don't know what's in here, but I'm gonna blur it anyway. We move on to day 3. First day of actual groups, Monday. First group was, I believe, caseload. Caseload was group with a therapist. My therapist didn't do her own caseload, so I got funneled into another therapist caseload, and I really, really liked this therapist. Here are my notes from the first group. I wrote, being yourself helps you take your worth back. You also have to do things for yourself mainly. From the moment we're born, we crave validation. Healing actually feels like shit and is a journey, but the journey is the whole point. The journey is the destination, but we want to find peace in the present / the journey. I had a really good revelation on like finding peace and the whole journey of it all a little bit later. Then this day I also met with my individual therapist. I really liked her. We did just some basics. I was feeling good, but also I hated the fact that I could never know what the time was. Like the time was on clocks that were hanging up, but I didn't have a watch, I didn't have a phone. Like it just felt like I was in a time warp. I got this little affirmation card in one of the groups. There were a lot of these. It was so fun. Some of the group facilitators gave them out to us. Sometimes other friends, other patients would have them and just give them to us. It was really sweet. This one says, I choose to focus on the positive changes that come with forgiveness. I was out of a lot of groups today because I was meeting with my therapist and so on and so forth. But the other group that I went to today was mindfulness and present moment awareness. Mindfulness is paying attention with intention in the present moment without judgment. A few things that I learned to do when I'm having a lot of thoughts is to show myself grace, write down the negative thoughts, do things slower, notice more details, hold an ice cube. Temperature change is helpful. But I also kind of hit a point this day where I got really bored. I was having a dopamine detox involuntarily. It was forced upon me. And it was hard for me to deal with at first because I'm so used to being constantly stimulated. I felt bored. I wrote that I get the point of this is to slow down and stop from my daily life, but I'm just hitting a wall right now where I feel like I'm about to lose my mind. Also, the fact that we can't shave without someone watching us is crazy as fuck. They didn't let me have my personal razor that I brought. I mean, I get it, but if we wanted to shave, they had to watch us in the shower. So, I just didn't shave for 2 weeks. Day 4, Tuesday. Oh, okay, back to day 3. I didn't realize it was this early in that we did this, but I wrote on day 4, last night was one of the funniest and most fun nights I've had in a while. Me and a few other friends that I had made on the floor stayed up way past our bedtime. We were supposed to be in our rooms by 11 p.m. We stayed up till like 12:30 playing Cards Against Humanity, the family version, and it was so funny. Like, I don't know what, we were all just delusional. It was so funny though. Like, we cried laughing. That was such an amazing memory. I love those people so much. I had groups this day, 4 groups every day. I'm not gonna get into every single thing. If there's anything I wanna call out, I'll call it out. On day 4, I wrote, I'm getting to the point of the day where I get bored and really miss home and my space and all my stuff. I'm having more fun here than I thought I would, but it's times like these where I realize how truly little there is to do. I am really sad that apparently art therapy was canceled for today. Oh yeah, this was Tuesday. I think that the art therapist was out sick, because I was really looking forward to that. At least Dancing with the Stars is on tonight, so I can watch that in the room. Problem is, I just want to be left alone. There's literally no such thing as personal space here. I'm learning how truly important that is to me. Also, the weather here sucks balls. There is no sun. Maybe this is exposure therapy to treating shit like a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah, that was after lunch, I remember. Now we're on day 5. What did I do on day 5? I was kind of just every morning journaling how I felt in the morning. I journaled throughout the day. I journaled in groups. So we had a group. First one was usually the caseload group with the therapist, was like a check-in sort of thing of what we learned in the previous day's groups. We actually only had caseload Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not Monday, so I lied on that, sorry. Group 1, we talked about negativity bias. We remember and react more strongly to negative stimuli than positive. It's wired in our systems to protect us from danger. It's a genetic component, and we need to reframe the negative thoughts. We did live truth barrier this day, which I really liked. We wrote in our truth category something that we believe is true. So for me, I wrote, I have so much support, I don't deserve to be sad. We wrote that in what we believe is the truth category. Then we had to circle it and move it over to the lie category, because that's not true. It's just what we tell ourselves, and that doesn't mean it's true. Then the truth, the real truth is, despite having a lot of support, I still have depression that I deserve to heal. And then the barrier is what keeps me from believing the truth and instead seeing the lie as the truth, if that makes sense. And then so the barrier for this one, I wrote, I've been told that I have a good life and that should be enough, so I feel guilty. So that was a really, really cool exercise. I highly recommend doing that if you're interested in journaling or just like kind of any of this. I wrote down so many prompts and things like that. I'm gonna take a picture of this actually and insert it here, because I've got a lot of different like journaling prompts, different exercises to go through. I just compiled a bunch of them from different exercises and different groups that we were doing. So it's a little resource if you guys are interested. You can screenshot it, you can write some down if you want. Going back to lie truth barrier. Once I identify the barrier, I can work to shift my thinking and move toward the lie being a lie and that truth being the truth, and more importantly, live accordingly. Doing over thinking is what changes neuroplasticity and creates a new neural pathway that will, over time, become my norm of thinking. This live truth barrier exercise, I did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times with different things I believe, negative core beliefs. This can be a guidebook for how to live. You follow the truths. Also, it is hardwired in humans to seek danger and protect ourselves for survival. I need to show myself that I'm okay. All right, group 2, we did relapse prevention. For me, this looked like relapse of the suicidal ideation, but relapse prevention is really just to help prevent you from drifting back into old behaviors. So treatment, aka where I was in inpatient, is meant to lay the foundation for going back into the world with a better mindset. Because where I was a vacuum. Stressors are limited, a lot of things weren't in my control. This was a preparing ground. It's like a fire safety plan for your mental health, is the way that this facilitator said it, and I really liked that. So I need to understand my triggers to panic and anxiety and depression / suicidal ideation and anger. I made a list on the other side of this page of triggers, and I separated into panic / anxiety, depression / suicidal ideation, and anger, so that I have them down and I can continue adding to this list so that I know what is happening when. I don't get things mistaken. Okay, sorry the lighting is probably like really aggressive right now. We also talked about reparenting in this group. This is the first that I had ever heard of reparenting, and the concept of reparenting is to do over parenting again pretty much to yourself and learn how to meet your own needs. Because our inner child is a part of all of us, and depending on how we grew up and the different environments we grew up in, sometimes we need to walk through our childhood again, holding the hand of our inner child and showing them that you are the person that you needed as a child. That's one of the most powerful things that I came to the realization of when I was here, is I need to be the person that my inner child needed. I started coloring a lot because I ordered markers and coloring books on Amazon so that I would have things to do, which was fun. Another group of the day was called Committed Action. Committed Action is acting purposefully and intentionally in line with your chosen values, even when, I have that bolded, even when faced with difficult thoughts, emotions, or circumstances. So you ask yourself, does what I'm about to do align with my values? And in order to know that, you need to write down what your values are, your core values. What is it that you value in life? I have some of my values here. Another one of the little affirmation cards as well. They also don't have to just be things that you already have or already can do. I wrote confidence, peace, patience. Basically, you can write things that you don't necessarily have right now, but they're things that you want. And then my affirmation says, I am worthy of self-forgiveness and self-love. I think one of my friends gave that to me, which is really sweet. Okay, day 6. Is this when I did this? Ooh. Day 6. Yeah, so in our first group of the day, we did this exercise, hesitation and communication. This is something that I wrote to the internet. So this is in the prompts list that I just showed you of my journal prompts and exercise and stuff. The first thing is what I want to communicate. And you write, I wish blank understood. So the blank in here is the internet. Then the next blocks are what I fear will happen if I say that. And then you write 3 things that you fear will happen if you say whatever it is that you want to say. This can be about anybody. So then what we did was we crossed out the they and we put you. Basically what that did was showed us like, this is what I want to say. If I cross out I wish the internet and I put you, I'm looking at it from the perspective of if I'm actually saying these things. And then when I reread it, I realized how much more free I would feel if I did say this. And then we talked about that in group. I'm gonna read this to you because this is something that I did write to the internet, and in the spirit of honesty, might as well. So what I want to communicate, I wish you understood that I am a real person with real feelings and experiences and not a fictional TV character who is either not real or can do no wrong. I, in parentheses, we all, am a human being who is not perfect, makes and has made mistakes, and doesn't deserve hatred and cruelty because of my job. I am a human being who feels depression and anxiety, and I don't need to have a certain background or job to feel that, and my job and lifestyle do not make me exempt from that. I deserve grace the same way you would want grace for also being human beings and imperfect. I do not need to cater to you. You are not entitled to anything about me or from me that I do not want to give. I deserve privacy and basic respect. I said what I said. Next. Another group we did was family dynamics and family roles, which was very interesting. There are 5 family roles. We have the hero, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and the mascot. So we did a little exercise on which one we most identified with growing up. I identified most with the hero and the scapegoat. How did this role protect you? The hero made me self-sufficient. The scapegoat made me independent. What did it cost me? Being the hero cost me the ability to mess up, and it made me confrontational. The scapegoat caused me a lot of undue guilt, and it allowed me to allow disrespect. How does this role show up in my life today? As the hero, I'm a perfectionist. I'm afraid of failure and rejection. I don't like asking for help, and I'm a control freak. As a scapegoat, I have trust issues and low self-esteem. And then if I could step out of those roles, who might I become? I would be able to trust, let go of control, and make mistakes. I would be securely attached, and I would be able to share responsibility of things with others and not just take it all on myself. I had a little reflection on here from the groups. I wrote, I identified negative core beliefs stemming from foundational beliefs. Oh yeah, I have a picture of that too. The roots of the tree are the foundational beliefs. The trunk of the tree are the core beliefs, and the leaves on the tree are how those things manifest in life, in day-to-day life. That was very interesting, and I'm a visual learner, so anything visual like that, I appreciate. I also wrote out what I want to say to the internet, and I think I might actually read it to them because thinking about getting that out feels really good and freeing. I did it, you guys. I'm proud of me. I identified my family's roles so that I can consciously choose to approach life differently. And then in group 4, we talked more about reparenting. This is where the quote, you grow into the person you needed most when no one else was there to help, came in. That hit me like a ton of bricks. But reparenting yourself again is fulfilling unmet childhood needs. My inner child looks like a little girl who was scared on the inside but appears strong and dominant on the outside. And then we wrote letters to our inner child, and I have mine here. I was really scrapbooking when I was there, you guys. I had so much fun with it. I won't be reading this to you because it's deeply personal, but that is there. All right, day 7 was Halloween. So I have a bunch of Halloween stickers that one of the nurses gave us, which was really cute and fun. I loved them. They were really sweet. There were several figures on the floor between nurses and techs that were really like motherly figures, which is exactly what I needed in a place that was unfamiliar and new and kind of scary at first. I got so much more comfortable there as the days went on. So for example, I wrote, today is 1 whole week since I got here. I have made so much progress and so many great friends that I'm excited to keep in touch with after this. So things were looking up. I also started doodling these next several pages about the business that I want to start. So that's exciting. I got so excited. I wrote about somebody that I was thinking about on the outside world. I feel like I was in Love is Blind. I was like, oh, on the outside world on this, on the outside world on that. it felt like full on Love is Blind in there. Even though we weren't there for love, we were there for therapy. Therapy is blind. But I was just kind of journaling my thoughts, which was very, very helpful and cathartic to get everything out. And I came to a good conclusion about myself. I said I value my time and I value meaningful connection. Most of all, I know that I want to be spending my time wisely on people who deserve it, and taking my mental, emotional, and physical energy is a privilege that must be earned. Someone needs to prove their worth to me. I know what I'm worth and what I bring to the table. It isn't about me hoping they like me and trying to make myself fit in a box to please them. It's about me evaluating them to see if they are worthy of me. I have the power here, and I believe that when I take that back, I shift my perspective and mindset and visceral reactions to the process of dating. I am dating them. Them dating me is none of my business, because that is up to them to decide, and I have no control over that. I also kind of had a light bulb aha moment in my one-on-one therapy about where my panic attacks and my visceral reactions to new romantic interests stemmed from. Because backstory, but in high school, whenever I would have a new crush on somebody and I would actually like see them places or like go to a basketball game with them or whatever, I would have a panic attack so bad that I would throw up. I feel like I figured out some insight on how that happened, like how it manifested into that, which was really an aha moment. It kind of explained a lot. Anyway, next day, day 8. I wrote that I woke up with my chest pounding today for the first time really since I've been here. I really miss home and my music. I wrote a whole list of songs that I miss. Let me read them to you. They're ones that either I thought of while I was in here or other people were playing or talking about. So, Fresh Out the Slammer, The Life of a Showgirl, Father Figure, Do I Want to Know by Arctic Monkeys, Opalite, Too Much by Dove Cameron, Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, Defying Gravity, Under Pressure by Queen, What Is This Feeling, also from Wicked, and The Archer and Innocent. I actually made a playlist of this whole experience. I'm gonna link it down below. It's on Spotify. It's songs that like I was feeling before I went into therapy, songs that people talked about in therapy, so I'm gonna add those to the playlist, and then kind of how I'm feeling now. I wrote things I'm looking forward to when I get out, listening to my Spotify playlist on my headphones, getting coffee downtown and walking with my friends, seeing photos of my cat. By the way, yeah, Charlie is with my parents because I was supposed to be in Portugal. And when I travel internationally, I always leave her in their care because they have other cats. They love her. She grew up with them. Like, she's safe there. I know she's taken care of. Seeing photos of my cat, my at-home iced lattes, my yogurt bowls, my laptop, my Kindle, shaving, 3 exclamation points, 3 arrows, Whole Foods, cooking my own healthy meals, and my workout classes. So this day was Saturday. We watched another movie. We watched Good Will Hunting. I had never seen Good Will Hunting before. I really enjoyed it. Something that I wrote down when I was watching the movie was that watching movies is making me miss editing videos. So I really started to get my fire back for that, which was really nice to feel. Day 9, Sunday. First of all, today is the day I was supposed to be flying back from Portugal. I'm honestly so glad I didn't go though. I am happy I'm here instead. I will say I am so excited for Christmas, and I plan to put my tree up as soon as I get home, which I really plan to be 1 week from today. How? Wait a damn minute. I predicted that. I actually got out on a Saturday, but I didn't get home until Sunday because there was a ground stop in Atlanta because there was a storm. And the government shutdown has caused flights to be canceled. I had 5 flights in a row get canceled. I had to stay overnight in Atlanta. My whole trip, total airtime, less than 3 hours. It took me over 24 hours to get home. So I did get home on a Sunday, unintentionally, after spending the night at the Atlanta airport. Oh, and my suitcase made it back to Charleston without me. So I didn't even have any of my stuff. This was the day I got out of rehab. Anyway, back to day 9, blah, blah, blah. What is this? Group 1. We talked about structure, routine, and habit. We talked about the fact that structure reduces decision fatigue and gives a sense of purpose. I drew a little diagram of habits being the small things, and then the habits make up the routine, and the routines make up the structure. Again, visual learner. So we need to have a balance between structure and flow. I need to get comfortable with just being. I wrote some notes about morning routines. I wrote needs to come from meaning and purpose. The first 3 hours of the day are the most important. The routine is an anchor when I don't want to wake up in the morning. Ask myself, what is the most meaningful thing I can do today, and do it in the morning. All routines are rooted in identity. Identity must be internal, not external. So that was that. Oh, wait a damn minute. Day 9 was November 2nd. Then I wrote day 9 again for November 3rd, so the rest of these are wrong. This is day 10. Day 10, Monday. I, at this point, was really excited to be going home. I wrote some things that I'm grateful for, the amazing new friends I've made here, the appreciation I've gained for my life, the fact that I was even able to do this, and that my cursive is getting better. And then group 1, we had weekly prep. We talked about our roles in recovery. Was this a Tuesday? No, Monday. We talked about our roles in recovery as chess pieces. So I'll show you this page. This is the group worksheet we did, and then when I was looking through a magazine that morning to look for other scrapbooking things to do, I saw this. This is the first thing that I saw in the magazine, an ad for Charleston. So I was just like, that's my home. Oh, I need to re-glue that. That's my home. I did a little scrapbook page of Charleston. How beautiful. I love Charleston. I love this is my home. And then I got pulled out to see my therapist this day. This is one of the worksheets we were working on in the group, and just talking about like what my chess pieces are and like just basically like my strengths. And a couple of my friends on the floor took it upon themselves to give me kind, positive affirmations even. Like they filled this out for me. That is it. I came back and I saw that they had filled that out for me and I started crying. I had only known these people for a little over a week and they truly became so quickly some of my best friends, because in there, when you're meeting people, everything is stripped away. Like there was no putting on a mask, there was no getting done up. It was the very bare bones versions of ourselves, and we showed up with honesty and we were raw and real, and in group we were sharing about our traumas. Like we all knew why we were there. We were all there for a similar reason. We all struggled with depression, anxiety, something like that. I mean, we didn't start with small talk when I was making friends here. We started with the hard shit. We bonded over it and then we got into the small talk, but it just facilitated such honest, raw connections because everything was stripped away. There was no facade and we wanted to live better lives. So we took the masks off. It was really beautiful. I've never been in a situation like that or an environment like that where facilitating connection is so raw and real right off the bat. And it made me just want to be more authentically myself in everyday life. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's like time and place, but I don't need to be somebody I'm not so that people might like me, because I went into this place feeling so down on myself, feeling like shit, but I showed up as me. And I was like, this is real, this is me. And people accepted me and loved me for it. I don't have to show up any other way, because the people that are meant to be in my life will gravitate towards me. They will accept me. They will see me. And they will like that person. And that's what I want. I don't want fake shit in my life. Little sidebar there. I really want to finish this before the sun goes down, and I don't have natural light anymore, so I've got about an hour. So let me hurry it up. Coffee break. I miss my iced coffee so much. They had like regular drip coffee there, which I was drinking like multiple of a day. Hot coffee, if you know me. It was crazy. In other groups today, we talked about isolation versus solitude. Isolation is hiding, cutting yourself off from connection, withdrawing, building up walls, and it's a defense mechanism. And solitude is resetting by being alone, a form of self-care, being comfortable being alone, enjoying time alone. Connection with others is still present, and it's a form of rest. One of my friends shared in group some really helpful tips to prevent solitude from slipping into isolation, because that is a very slippery slope, and I know I struggle with that a lot. So I wanted to share what they said. Communicating with others about your plan to have solitude so that other people know about it. They can check in on you. You're not just isolating yourself and cutting off communication, as I said. Also, having a positive goal for it / a healthy intention for why you want to practice solitude. It's more of a practice. It's not something you slip into. Solitude is intentional. And then also setting a time limit. So say I want to have 24 hours of solitude where I just refresh, I refill my own cup, I recharge by myself, and then after that, get back out there type of thing. So I thought that those were really helpful and I wanted to share those. Everything has to have balance. Balance is at the center of everything. That's something I struggle with. I'm a very like all or nothing, black or white person, and balance represents the gray area, which I know I can learn how to operate that way. It just is going to take some time, but it's a marathon, not a sprint, and the journey is the destination. I think we're going to get to that soon. I wrote a really good thing about that. Another one of my scrapbooking things, I made a recipes pocket. How cute is this? It's just a piece of computer paper. I got the letters from a magazine again, and then I was going through magazines and I just found a bunch of little recipe cutouts that I wanted to bring home and make. This is just a few of them. We've got almond cinnamon buns. They're all from various magazines. I wish I could tell you. Probably like Better Homes and Gardens and shit. I have egg bites. And then here on the back, there's different toppings and things you can put in them. I have a couple like dinner dishes. It was fun. So every time I was looking at a magazine, we ended up having art therapy this week. I cut out whatever recipes I wanted and I put them in my recipe folder that I made in my journal. I thought it was so cute. I was showing everybody. I was like, guys, look at what I made. I had therapy again. Oh, today was mail day. I got 6 letters and a care package. I wrote, today was so good. I am feeling so loved and so grateful for the amazing community I have in my life. Thank you, God. It's about 11 p.m. and I'm in bed finishing up this day's journaling. I really had a great day today and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for my therapist here, and sad tomorrow is the last time I'll see her. She's evoked tears, which means she's really good. She's really good. Hopefully tomorrow will be another good day and we will get to do art therapy. Day 11. Good morning. Today is a lovely day. It is sunny. I am in a good mood. I made my coffee with the protein shake my parents sent me and it is delicious. Oh yeah, in my care package that my parents sent me, they sent me these protein shakes and I used them almost as like a creamer in my coffee. It was so freaking good. They're Premier Protein. I don't remember which flavor, something caramel truffle, something like that. It was so freaking good in a coffee. I'll have to put a picture of it on the screen because they were phenomenal. The 6 letters that I got, shout out to my grandma, my mom, my Aunt Gretchen, and my friends Marguerite and Kylie. I love you guys so much. Made my day. I cried reading the letters. I wrote back. It was lovely. Bring back handwritten letters. Bring back pen pals. I got another affirmation card in my first group. I am worthy of success. That one I got from therapist. Ooh, what was this about? Oh yes. Okay, we did this exercise here. My brain storage cabinet. So we had this little worksheet that she gave us, and on each box of the storage cabinet, we wrote a category, and then we pretty much just brain dumped the things that we were thinking about, that we were holding in our brains, into each category to like sort them and file them away. And then I had this idea that I wanted to get a mini storage bin thing and brainstorm my thoughts on pieces of paper and put them in the corresponding box. So like each box on the storage bin physical thing, I need to like look on Amazon or something because I'm sure this exists. I can label each one as one of the categories and then brainstorm my thoughts on pieces of paper and put them in the corresponding box, and then physically close the drawer after I put it in until it's time to actually sit down and work / dedicate time to it during the day. And then I could also keep a jar with the completed pieces to show myself how much progress I've made. But I cannot use that as a way to be self-deprecating though, because sometimes it's like, oh, you did nothing, like, and like shit on myself for like not doing as much as I should, or like not knocking everything out in one fell swoop. I need to use it as a tool and have balance and be able to like hold myself accountable, but also reward myself and show myself admiration and grace when I complete things, because it's a big deal. So anyway, this is another one of the things that I scrapbooked in here, and I cut out all the pieces. Here's my aha moment. Let's go! Finally! This is so, I'm just gonna read the whole thing. I had an aha moment. I'm realizing that, like peace, healing is not a destination, it's a journey. No one is going to give me all the concrete answers I need to fix me. No one is going to heal me. I won't even ever 100% heal myself. All of life is healing from one thing or another. All of life is also creating peace. You don't just wake up one day and have peace or complete healing. With that, it's also not a process that can be rushed, because there is no end destination. Okay? Let that sink in. My thought with that is like, you're never going to be 100% healed. You're never going to have 100% peace. So if that's your benchmark, if that's your goal, you're going to spend your entire life trying to reach perfection, and that doesn't exist. There is no end destination. You can't be perfect. Perfection, complete peace, complete blah, blah, blah. That's not something that you're gonna hit and be like, okay, cool, I have that now. It's a continuing journey. It's like once you get to a point, the benchmark pushes back and it pushes back and it pushes back. So there's that, okay? There's nothing to rush to. You learn and grow and improve as you live. Rushing these processes would mean rushing life. And ultimately, what are we rushing to except death? Why would I want to rush to that? I only get one life. Time is the most valuable resource because it is finite and you can't get it back. So instead of feeling unsettled, waiting for a complete, fulfilled feeling that will never come, just learn from life and apply those learnings. That is how you and I improve. And different things are learned at different phases of life when each of us need to learn them. And those journeys are completely individual. I crave peace in life, but I'm searching for it, not cultivating it. That's where I've been going wrong all this time. I am a human healing as long as I'm a human being. I'm snapping myself. Let that sink in. Thank you. I am so excited to share all of these realizations and other learnings with the world. I feel they could really help people, which is what I believe I was put on this earth to do. I was born to do this. I am able and worthy of this just because I was born and I exist. I do not need to earn my place. I've always had a place. Okay, holding space for that. Thank you so much for listening. Next, we're going into group. I'm almost done, I think. Yeah, group. Okay, so we had a group this day about opposite action, which is a facet under distress tolerance. Opposite action is doing the opposite of what an unhelpful emotion urges you to do. Or in other words, choosing who you want to become. Opposite action helps you act from intentions, not impulse. And it helps change negative core beliefs by action. So some of the benefits of opposite action: it shifts perspective, it changes how you see a situation, It strengthens identity, it builds trust in yourself, and supports the vision of you that you want to become. It rewires emotional patterns, teaches your nervous system that safety and strength exist beyond the reaction. And it reclaims power because it allows you to choose how you feel and react. So we have 5 steps to practice opposite action. Number 1 is to name the emotion. What are you feeling and where are you feeling it? What does it make you want to do? And that would be the urge. Number 2 is to check the facts. Does this emotion fit the fact of the situation? And is the intensity of this emotion proportionate to what's happening? Number 3, identify the urge. What does this emotion push you towards? So some common examples: anger could push you to argue, sadness could push you to isolate, and fear could push you to avoid. And then step 4 is to choose the opposite. If it's anger, instead of arguing, it could be take a deep breath, step away, or speak calmly about your needs. If it's sadness, instead of isolating, it could be to reach out for connection, move your body, engage in something meaningful. And if it's fear, instead of avoiding, hiding, overthinking, you could face the situation and take one small step toward what you fear. So that was really powerful as well. I wanted to share all of those with you. Next, we have day 12. This is a Wednesday. Friday was my last full day, so we are almost at the end. I keep having to move my camera because the sun keeps doing things. My friend and I just talked about Taylor Swift for 15 minutes, and I really needed that. I miss music. 3 more sleeps until I can pop my headphones in. I got moved to a different group this morning, a different caseload, so the therapist that I was with, I got moved, and I really liked her, but yeah, so we talked about habit stacking in this group. I love habit stacking, the concept from Atomic Habits, and it's about stacking a new habit onto an existing one to make it easier to be consistent with and actually do. For example, what's my goal? My goal is to drink water before I drink coffee in the morning. So the sequence could go: after I wake up and get out of bed, I will drink a full hydro flask of water. And then after I drink water, I will make myself a coffee. So my current habit is getting up, and also my current habit is making a coffee. So I'm stacking the drinking water in the middle of those so that it's easier for me to do that one too, because I'm already doing the other ones, if that makes sense. The second group of this day was about dialectical thinking, which is a concept from DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. Dialectical behavioral therapy is a type of talk therapy adapted from cognitive behavioral therapy, which is CBT, that helps people manage intense emotions and learn new skills to cope with stress. So dialectical basically means holding 2 truths at once. So instead of saying but, you say and. I got some examples here. These are some important opposites to balance from this handout that I put in here. It's accepting reality and working to change it, working and resting, working on improving yourself and accepting yourself exactly as you are, problem solving and problem acceptance, emotion regulation and emotion acceptance, independence and dependence, mastering something on your own and asking for help. You get the deal. This encourages you to embrace and accept confusion and accept that we can't and don't have to know everything. And in doing this, we also accept change, which is constant. Kind of leads into radical acceptance and fully accepting what you can't change. If you've read The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, that is a masterclass in radical acceptance. Oh, this is from the first group when we were talking about habits and habit stacking. We wrote about our support circles, people who we go to for accountability, habits that we want to practice, and personal growth supports. So naturally, I scrapbooked those as well. I was just having fun. Next, day 13, Thursday, second to last day. This was Taylor Swift Power Hour. We are listening to Taylor Swift to start the morning, and it is cathartic to me. The Archer is literally about me. I wrote that. Now I'm in my new caseload group, and I have convinced the population to pick up scrapbooking, which is making me feel really good. I love preaching the good news of arts and crafts and influencing for good. Second group of the day, we had codependency. Ooh. Codependency is when our self-worth, identity, or emotional stability depends on another person or another factor, just another entity in general. I wrote, I feel like I have this with my job and with success. It stems from a lack of self-worth and internal validation, and it looks like prioritizing someone else's needs over our own, difficulty setting or maintaining boundaries, fear of independence or disapproval, and believing it's our responsibility to save or fix others. So what I realized I needed is interdependency, which interdependency is a balance of independence and connection. I'm a very hyper independent person. I find it hard to ask for help. I don't like to burden, quote unquote, burden other people with problems or whatever. Another thing of interdependency, it means that each person respects individuality and boundaries, and support is mutual, not one-sided. I just need to focus on interdependency. That's like a healthy middle ground. As if you can't tell, middle ground, the gray area is where I tend to struggle because I'm so like all or nothing thinking. Or I have been in the past. Doesn't mean I will always be. I have a worksheet here on improving your communication skills. So I'm gonna read you just one example. One poor communication habit is mind reading, assuming you know exactly what the other person is feeling or thinking without asking them directly. And then an effective communication habit would be to check your perceptions. So you ask clarifying and probing questions to find out if your interpretations are accurate. For our next group, we had a scrapbooking group, which was separate from art therapy, but we just got to scrapbook, which music to my ears. And this is the collage that I made. I love it. It made me feel so fresh and inspired and excited. And then this was my last day, my last full day, day 14, Friday. I wrote, today is my last day. I'm having a Taylor Swift Power half hour to celebrate and properly enjoy my last day. I can't even concentrate on my journaling because I'm too busy singing. I miss my music and headphones, but here I get to share the music with others, and that's beautiful too. So I wrote a little list of things I wanted to do today, things I wanted to do at home. And I got another affirmation card. This one says, I choose to focus on my strengths instead of my weaknesses. I was pulled into a couple different things because I needed to get my discharge and everything set up. But one of the groups for today was about self-sabotage, which is when we want something and then go about making sure it doesn't happen. Real. There's a cycle of self-sabotage. We have perfectionistic demands, fear of failure, self-criticism, loss of confidence, anxiety, procrastination, and passive aggression. And then in order to break the cycle, some tips would be we need to identify core beliefs, and then we can challenge the negative core beliefs. We can't challenge something we don't know. We can practice self-compassion, and we can develop healthy coping mechanisms. So my self-sabotage cycle, we wrote our triggers for self-sabotage. Some of mine are work, friends, love, new opportunities, and mental health. And then I, of course, did some scrapbooking. So this is the handout that we got from this group. And then this is breaking the cycle of self-sabotage. And then over here, from my last day, my last group that we did was we wrote our names on a piece of paper and we passed them around to everybody in the room. And everybody wrote a positive affirmation, or if it's a person that you know or you're close to, you wrote a little message to them. And I taped mine in here because it just meant everything to me. It was really sweet and I cried. A lot of people did. It was just honestly the best final group. And I just felt so loved. I felt so connected to the community. It just made me feel very positive. So my final journal from inside the facility, I wrote, it is my last night here. I really can't believe it. I'm really gonna miss this place and these people so bad that I literally feel sick. And then I came back again a couple hours later. I said, it is 12:07 a.m. and I'm finally in bed. My wake up time to do discharge is 2:30 a.m. So it looks like I'll be aiming for a quick nap. I hugged my friends goodbye, cried, laughed, and now I'll always remember you by Hannah Montana is stuck in my head. My stuff is packed to the best of my ability and I have no choice but to be ready to go back to the real world. I'm so grateful for this place and these people. God is good and so is life. I'm sad, but I feel ready for real life again. I want to live. So, notes from my rehab journal. That's my whole progression. Now you're caught up on exactly where I've been, what I've been learning, what I've been doing, what I've been thinking. And I hope if you listen to all of that, I know that that was a lot and this is probably going to be hours worth of footage to edit, but I want to just put it all out there. I feel very positive about my experience overall. As I said, I made amazing connections. I also just feel so much more confident in myself and in my ability to communicate my emotions and feel my feelings and validate myself, and also how to healthily communicate with other people, how to validate them, how to just be a more open and effective communicator and listener, and a better friend and just a better person. I don't know, I feel such a change within me. Something has changed within me. And this is exactly what I needed. Yes, it took me getting to a very dark place to get to this point, but I feel like that is what happens in life. You get knocked down so hard that you almost feel like you can't get back up, and then you get back up anyway. And what you learn and the strength that you gain in that getting back up is the most valuable thing. I wanted to share all those things. I hope that some tidbits of knowledge or information or anything from that could positively impact somebody else, because I know that it positively impacted me. And without you also having to go through the 2-week program and be in it, I was kind of hoping to gather as much as I could so that I could share what I learned in case anyone else needs to hear it. And also just because I want to get my story out there, I want people to know that if you're struggling, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to look for help that you didn't even know existed. It's okay to commit to getting yourself help. It's not selfish. You don't need to feel bad about letting people down. When you're saying yes to things, is it a yes for yourself or is it a yes for somebody else? Sometimes it can be a yes to both yourself and somebody else, but if it's just a yes for somebody else, then it's a no for you. And you need to start saying yes to you. So moving forward, I have so much to look forward to. I have things that are I'm getting the ball rolling on for what I want to do in this next phase of my life. I'm not going to talk about those because I don't want to say anything that's not actually happening yet. Like, I don't want to jinx anything or like put something out there before I actually have ducks in a row. I'm going to have ducks in a row. I don't need to have all of them in a row to start. I have to start and then I get the ducks in a row. So I'll get back to you on that at some point. Just trying to get myself reacclimated, keep practicing the things that I learned, and keep using my new coping skills and my new communication skills in real life. Honestly, a big part of it is setting boundaries, because I don't feel like I have ever had the confidence in myself to set boundaries before and actually enforce them. I'm, again, a self-proclaimed people pleaser, pathological people pleaser, as Taylor Swift would say, but that's gotten me nowhere. So now I'm really working on identifying where in my life I need to set healthy boundaries, setting them, communicating them directly and respectfully, and then upholding them, enforcing them, and not letting people cross them, because that's what enforcing a boundary means, is protecting my peace and protecting myself. And what I learned in this program, in therapy and rehab, whatever you want to call it, is if I'm solid in me, nothing outside of me can fuck with me. Like, if I am solid, I'm a fortress. Not that I'm putting up walls, not that I'm cutting people out, not that at all, but just like, if I'm confident in myself and I respect and love myself, and I know who I am and I know what I want, and I know that I'm a good person, I know like my values and my beliefs and all that type of stuff, like, nobody can fuck with me, because I'm good and I'm solid in myself. That's the only thing in life that I can control, is myself, my actions, my words, and my reactions to everything. I can't even control my thoughts. My brain they're just thoughts. Brains do that, they think. And when I've tried to control my thoughts, it's made it worse, because then I overthink my thoughts. That's a spiral right there. It's not about controlling your thoughts, it's about learning how to react differently to your thoughts, and that shapes what you say, what you do, and your entire reality. If you made it to the end of this, please comment "I'm a real one," because you are the realest one. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much to every single person who sent me a kind comment or message, who cares, who's here. It means the world to me more than you know. I appreciate you so much more than words will ever be able to say. Please take care of yourselves out there. I believe in you. If no one has told you this lately, I believe in you. I love you. You deserve to take care of yourself. And if a yes to you means a no to something else, so be it. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to say before I leave. Yeah, I'm not doing the weekly posting schedule anymore. I'm gonna be real with you. Just constraining my creativity with a weekly schedule, it's not working for me. It's just been stressing me out and making it not fun. Obviously, if I have a deadline or like something that's due, that's a different story. I'm just gonna work that out with whoever I have the deadline with, because that can, in theory, really be any day. I want to post weekly, but it could be once every 2 weeks. It could be if I have an inspirational period. I might post more than once a week. Who knows? But that's just a boundary, again, that I'm gonna have to set, and I am setting right here for myself, to protect my peace, to protect my creativity, and so that I don't get so burnt out again that I check myself back into fucking rehab. If that happens though, that's okay. Okay? I'm a human. There's ups and there's downs. I'm feeling up right now. Life happens though. So it's okay. But that's just a boundary that I wanted to communicate and set right now. I'll let you know when a new video is coming. If you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. I will keep you posted on when a new video is coming. But yeah, so until then, thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.